So when we're working with fractions, there are lots of ways to simplify them. And what I want to focus on in this video is a method called prime factorization. And what we're going to use is the prime factors of a number to simplify that fraction down. So if you notice, I started with a decimal. I don't even have a fraction because I'm going to convert this into a fraction and then simplify it. So here I have 375 thousandths, 375 thousandths. Now, this one isn't just as simple as looking in and saying, okay, well, I can divide both by 5 and I can divide by 5 because you're going to be dividing by 5 for a while. So what I can do here is I can look at the factors that go into making this number. So I can say, all right, let me take each one individually. I'm going to start with 375. And I want to know what numbers can I multiply to get there. Well, I know it ends in a 75, so that means I can do 25 times something. Well, 300 to get 25 into 300 would be 12, plus 3 more would be 15. And so I can check that out, right? If I wasn't sure, I could also have come to the side real quick and done a division, right? 375 divided by 25 one time right here. I'll just do this fast. Boom, 5 and 25. Wait, where did I go? Oh, that's because that's 125. Yeah, and it goes into 125 5 times. All right, there we go. There's my 15. So I've broken this off. And now I want to say, all right, what two numbers can I multiply to get to 25? Now this is probably a little bit easier. 5 and 5, right? What about 15? Here I can do 5 times 3, right? Now if I look at my next level, what two numbers could I multiply to get 5? Well, the only ones that I can do to get 5 is 5 times 1, which tells me that it's a prime number. So since it's prime, I'm going to go ahead and circle it. 3 is also a prime number because the only way to get to 3 is by 3 times 1, right? So now that I have all my prime factors for my numerator, let's move down to my denominator, 1,000. Well, here there's lots of different ways I can do this. I'm going to take an easy road and I'm going to do 100 times 10. Okay, because that's an easy way. You could use any combination. You could do 500 times 2. You could do 250 times 4, however you wanted to take it. Okay, so I have 100, which I know I can also break down to 10 times 10, right? And this 10, I can go ahead and say, well, 5 times 2 will get me there. 5 is prime, so I'm going to circle it. 2 is also prime because the only way I can get there is 2 and 1. Then my last set of 10s here is I have 5 times 2 and 5 times 2. Again, all prime numbers. So now what I want to look at, now that I have my factors, if you look up at the top, here are my prime factors for 375, and here are my prime factors for 1,000. I can cancel out the ones that I see both in my numerator and my denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross out this 5 because I have this 5 down here. I'm going to cross out my 5 up top because I have another 5 down below. And I'm going to cross out this 5 because I have this 5 down below. I can't do anything with this 3 because I don't have any 3s, and I can't do anything with these 2s because there's no 2s up top. So now what I do is I look at what's left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and say, okay, on my top hand side, I know, I'm going to erase this division problem that I did earlier. I know that I have 3 left over. So that makes it nice and easy. I know I can just put a 3 on top. That's my numerator because he's the only guy there. And what's left on the bottom is I have to multiply everything I have left. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And so here is my reduced form of 375 thousandths. So it's a cool way that you can kind of use our prime factorizations to work on problems if they're not so obvious as far as what you can divide both sides by. So it's just another way to simplify fractions.